right, to the episode 3 of the Graham Sports Network pregame show. On this episode, we're going to dive a little bit more into some of these football games. We'll talk about the Graham Galax game that happened last Thursday night, and we'll talk about just some of the thoughts that I have on the game and what I think we did pretty well on. We'll go through the Week 2 scores after that of the Southwest District of Mountain 7. We have an interview with a special guest. We'll go through the Graham Sports schedule, all sports at Graham High School, what's coming up, the next 3 games over the next couple weeks. And we got some tournament time coming up for the golf team here in just a couple weeks. So then we'll look to the George Wythe, and we'll kind of dive into that one a little bit, go through George Wythe's schedule, see who they've played, maybe some strengths and weaknesses that they have, and just my thoughts on the game coming up this Friday. We'll hear from Coach Palmer later on, and then we'll go through the Week 3 games in the Southwest District of Mountain 7. And if you did not know, this Friday against George Wythe will be the homecoming game. The theme will be going gold for childhood cancer awareness. So be sure to wear your gold shirts out for the game this Friday. And before we get into the rest of the episode, I want to shout out our sponsor, Visit Tazewell County. Look through the game day guide last year. I put a link in the comments of last week's episode. I'll put another link in the comment of this week's episode. They did a great job kind of highlighting all of Tazewell County. Tazewell County in general, and then also all the sports teams, bands, cheerleaders, and they did a great job on all 3 county schools. So be sure to check out that game day guide. Again, it will be in the comments of this video. All right, so to recap the Graham Galax game, was a final score of 52-0 in favor of the G-men, which is actually kind of fun because the middle school team also beat Galax 52-0 earlier in the week. But the high school team, we are now 2-0. We have yet to have a district game. We got one of those coming up here in a few weeks. And the big news that you guys have probably heard about was that it was Coach Tony Palmer's 100th win. So congrats to him. That's an awesome accomplishment. And of course, a couple of state championships under his belt as well. An extra appearance in the state championship. And he also has one as a player too. So just kind of building up the accolades for him. So Coach, congrats. Our player of the game, we chose Ubrino Isabel. Congrats to that young man. Scored his first ever career touchdown on a pass from Gabriel Lilly early on in the game. I think it was second quarter. But Blake Graham had a kickoff return, the opening kickoff of the game, which I think, kind of set the tone and kind of showed us what to expect for the rest of the game. Gage Palmer had a touchdown run. Gabriel Lilly had a touchdown run. Obviously, Lilly threw to Ubrino Isabel for a 35-yard touchdown pass. Brody Sharp was a big-time player. We considered him for player of the game as well. He had a heck of a game. He had 2 interceptions, and one of those was a pick 6. So, heck of a game, Brody. Deion Cooper, a freshman, to open up the second half. We kicked off to Galax, and Galax fumbled, and Deion Cooper, a freshman, picked it up and ran it all the way back for a touchdown. Lucas Nash had a 34-yard field goal. Jeremiah Quick with a 32-yard touchdown run. And Dylan Nash had 5 extra points. I know when I was posting the scores, I tend to just say Nash, extra point good. Now I'm going to have to start Dylan Nash or Lucas Nash. So shout out to the Nash brothers for taking care of the special teams for us. And overall, touchdowns on offense, touchdowns on defense, touchdowns on special teams. Defense shut them out. That's 2 games now. We've shut out both opponents, Bluefield and Galax. We're outscoring our team 62-0 through these first 2 games. But anytime you can have a shutout and you can have touchdowns on offense, defense, and special teams, it's a pretty complete game. I think we executed pretty well. I know that's one thing Coach Palmer was talking about line play in last week's interview. And he was talking about execution on offense, defense, and special teams. And I think the third one was maybe taking care of the ball, which if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we turned the ball over this past week. So those 3 keys that Coach Palmer had mentioned, we executed at a very high level. and we ended up coming out with a win. So shout out to the team, shout out to the coaching staff. Again, shout out to Coach Palmer for his 100th win. What an accomplishment. And yeah, I mean, I think we played really well, and it was fun to watch for sure. And now, as we shift into the Region 2D scores from last week, like we just mentioned, Graham beat Galax 52-0. Lebanon, who they have a heck of a duo, a quarterback receiver duo. Actually, have a couple receivers. That'll be a game to watch here in a few weeks. Lebanon won 42-20 over Patrick Henry. Virginia High, also 2-0 on the year, 35-7 win over John Battle, who's in the Mountain 7. Tazewell was close at halftime and ended up losing 52-21 to Riverheads, a very, very talented team. Riverheads that we could possibly see. We would see them in the state championship if we were fortunate enough to get there. Richlands drops to 0-2 after losing 53-0 to Union. And then Marion also dropping to 0-2, losing 13-28 to Wise Central. Union and Wise Central obviously in the Mountain 7. And as we shift into the Mountain 7, kind of what we just mentioned, Union is now 2-0 with a win over Richlands. Union looks pretty good. I know we play them week 4. It'll be a heck of a game as always. Abingdon with a 31-28 win over Christiansburg. Gate City also 2-0 with a 14-13 win over Middlesboro out of Kentucky. Ridgeview also 2-0 on the year with a 46-0 win over Grundy. Wise Central over Marion 28-13 as we mentioned before. John Battle lost 35-7 to Virginia High. And then Lehigh beat Thomas Walker 28-21. And that recaps the scores, and you can kind of see the standings and kind of where teams are falling in the standings so far. VHSL won't release their official standings in the region until I believe October 1st. We'll post those. As soon as they come out, we'll work on a graphic and get those posted so we can see kind of just where the standings are and who's in first, second, and things like that.
All right, we're here with Coach Jones, the cross-country coach. Thank you for joining the show, and we'll get right into it. How's the season going so far?
It's going really good. Each year it seems like we're trying to grow the team a little bit more. The middle school team is pretty good. The high school team, we keep losing kids because they keep moving away. We've had 3 meets so far. Everybody has set good times, and we're looking for better times as the season goes on.
So what have you enjoyed seeing from your team so far this year?
The biggest thing is like I said, especially with the middle school team, because they're all new at this. A lot of them walk in thinking they can't do this. Watching them finish races, and then each time their times get lower and lower as they run. We've got kids who could barely do a lap around the track, and they're finishing 1.5 mile races without slowing down to walk.
Awesome.
Which is a huge accomplishment. Yeah. Our high schoolers, we had some really good 8th graders come up that are freshmen this year that, watching them run their first high school races, because they're jumping from 1.5 to 3.1 miles, setting good times, and watching them get frustrated because they're pushing themselves to get better and better and better, because they were always out in front in middle school, and now they're sort of in the crowd, and it's kind of fun to watch them get that little bit of frustration, because it's driving them to get better and better, and it pushes them in practice and just wanting to get better every day.
Yeah, awesome. And you probably touched on this a little bit, but is there any specific thing y'all are working on right now as you're going into the second half of the season?
The biggest thing is building up some of their endurance. We work on their different type of races that we do where or practices that we do where, we kind of tire them out, and then we get the sprints in there, because at the end of that race, that last 100 meters, you really want them doing in a dead sprint till the end. Learning how to attack the hills. A lot of the meets that we go to have some really serious hills in them, and they have to learn, even when they're tired, how to attack the hill that's the best place to pass people, is to sprint past them up a hill, because usually when you pass them on the uphill, they let you.
Yeah.
If you pass them on the flat, they end up wanting to fight you for it.
Yeah.
So we're really working on those uphill sprints.
Okay, awesome. All right, so for those of us that don't know, how does scoring work in a cross-country meet?
Well, for the individual runner, like for our girls team, we only have 3 girls, so they're just running as individuals. It just comes down to their time and where they place.
Mm-hmm.
For the team aspect, with the point system comes in, you need a minimum of 5 runners. You can have up to between 5 and 7. It's your placement. So if you have somebody that comes in 5th place, your team gets 5 points. If you have somebody that comes in 15th, then you get 15 more points. It's the team that has the lowest points is the team that wins.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's just the first 5 runners points. So if you have 7 runners, the last 2 points don't count, but they're still fighting to try to get into the top 5.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, so what are your team goals for the rest of the season?
Just to keep dropping our times. We've got some, like I said, some of the younger kids that last year we had 1 girl make it to regionals, qualified, and we had 2 boys. One of them graduated, so we have 1 returning runner that's coming back, and he's getting better times each time, but just trying to get some of these new runners to try to see if we can qualify as many kids for regionals as we can this year.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so we're going to do some college and NFL pick'em games. We were talking about this a little bit before, so I'm excited for the second game, but for the first one, Arizona and Kansas State, who you like?
I'd probably have to go with Kansas State.
Okay, and there's a little bit of history with this next one, WVU and Pitt.
Yes, and I was told I'm not allowed to say it the way I want to. I am an alumni, a 2000 graduate from WVU, so I am picking WVU, and I won't say what I want to say.
Okay, gotcha. How about LSU and South Carolina?
That's a tough one. I have a niece that goes to South Carolina, but I'm probably thinking LSU will probably win.
And Virginia Tech and Old Dominion ODU.
Oh, got to go Virginia Tech all the way.
Yeah. All right, and for the NFL games, the Buffalo Bills and the Dolphins.
You know what? We're going to go Bills. My mom's from Buffalo, so we'll go with them.
Awesome. All right, and then the Bengals and the Chiefs.
You know what? It may be controversial. I've got a lot of students at Graham Intermediate that are huge Swiftie fans, so I'm going Chiefs just because if I don't, I'll hear about it tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. I love it. I love it. All right, well, Coach, thank you for coming on the show again, and best of luck to you guys the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach, for sitting down with us and taking time out of your day to do an interview with us. We also want to shout out to another sponsor of ours, Andrew Scruggs Law. His office is in downtown Bluefield, Virginia. We'll put his address and his phone number right here. If you have any kind of legal needs, reach out to him, Andrew Scruggs. I've mentioned it in other episodes. Great guy, big Graham guy, comes to a lot of games for all of our sports, and is a Graham grad. So G-man through and through. So give him a shout if you need any legal needs. Andrew Scruggs, again, all of his information is right here. And as we shift into the Graham sports schedule, what's coming up next, we're going to look at the next 2 for all of our sports teams. Obviously, starting with football, we have George Wythe at 7 o'clock at Mitchell Stadium this Friday. That will be homecoming, and the theme will be, again, Going Gold for childhood cancer awareness. Next week, that's the big one. That's a big one that we've been I think a lot of Graham fans kind of circle that one on the schedule whenever it first comes out. At Union, we'll dive into that one big time next week. I know one thing: when Graham and Union play each other, it's going to be a physical. It's going to be a physical game. It's going to be a heck of a game, and it's going to come down to who can make the fewest mistakes. So that will always be a good game. That will be at Bullitt Park at 7 o'clock next Friday on the 20th. So make your plans to come out to that game. Volleyball, they play Monday the 16th at Bland County, JV at 6 and varsity at 7. And then Tuesday on the 17th, they play Bluefield at Graham Middle School, JV at 5:30 and varsity at 7. The golf team, next Thursday the 19th, they're at Tazewell Country Club at 4:30 to finish out their Southwest District matches. And then the following Tuesday on the 24th, they will head to Holston Hills Country Club for the Southwest District Tournament. If I'm not mistaken, most of the regular season matches are 9-hole tournaments. or matches, and then once we get into tournament time, it's 18 holes. So it'll be a big one. If you have, it will probably start pretty early, probably 9 a.m., 10 a.m., somewhere around that time. So if you're able, get on out there, support our Graham G-men. These guys are good. So show them support and wish them the best of luck. For cross country, on Wednesday the 18th, they head to Galax to take on a meet at the Galax Invitational. That will be at 4 o'clock that day. And then Saturday the 21st, a few days later, they will be in Marion for the Walker's Run meet at 9 a.m. And then competition cheer, it's almost here. The 21st, Saturday the 21st, the Viking Voyage at Northside High School. The competition cheer team begins a new season in which they are trying to repeat as state champions. Best of luck, ladies. And then the 28th, they will be at William Byrd High School for the Battle at Byrd. So to try and make it out to some of these games, have a lot of great student athletes playing for us. Some great kids. They all want your support. They seek the support. So come out to some of these games, matches, whatever you can, and just show them that grand pride that we always talk about. So good luck to everybody. Safe travels to everyone that's going to and from games. And best of luck to you guys. Okay, so this Friday, homecoming, Gold Rush for Childhood Cancer Awareness. We were taking on George Wythe. Big game, every game in football. I feel like it was a big game. George Wythe is 1-1 on the year. Their win came in week 1 against Radford. They beat them 28-7. As I'm sure most of you guys know, Radford won the state, beat us in the state semifinals last year, and they won the state championship last year. It was a loaded team, but with that loaded team, they had a lot of seniors. They lost a lot of players. They're not the same team, but anytime you can beat a defending state champion, I think that says something about you. So George with a big win in week 1. In week 2, they lost to Alta Vista High School 24-0 in week 2. Alta Vista lost in the state semifinals last year in single A. So that's George Wythe. Throughout this year, George Wythe has always been a pretty solid school in single A. They have some athletes that they play very well. I think they actually lost to Galax. George Wythe lost to Galax, and I want to say the region finals. So that would have been like the Elite 8, I guess you could say. It was the state quarterfinals, region finals, if I'm not mistaken there. They lost to Galax by 3, and Galax would go on to win the state championship. George Wythe kind of loads up a tough schedule early on. Their first 4 or 5 weeks are some really tough teams, and it pays off for them in the end towards the later half of the season. But George Wythe is a very good team. We beat them pretty handedly last year, but new team. We both have new teams. We'll see how it goes. I think we'll talk to Coach Palmer here in just a few minutes and hear some of his thoughts on George Wythe and kind of what they're focusing on in practice and some things that might give them some fits. George Wythe and how to maybe come out with the victory in some of those keys. So, I think that's a perfect time to get right on into the Coach Palmer 100 wins. Let's hear from Coach Palmer.
All right, Coach. Thanks for coming back on the show. Start out, just congrats on 100 wins, man. How does that feel?
Well, I think it's a team milestone. There's a lot of coaches, a lot of players that played for me who contributed to that. So I think that's more of a team milestone than anything else.
Yeah. So what were your overall thoughts on the win versus Galax?
I think we played really good on special teams. I think we played really good defensively. Offense is starting to come together, so we're looking forward to see what steps we take this week.
Yeah, I was thinking touchdowns on offense, touchdowns on defense, and a couple touchdowns on special teams. I mean, you can't ask for a more complete game.
That's right.
So first thoughts on George Wythe.
George Wythe's athletic, as usual. They got guys that can run, got a good running back. Number 4, he's a good running back. They believe in a lot of pressure. defensively. So we've got to be able to make our reads and get into the plays that we want to get into offensively.
You know, is that the big focus, making those reads?
Yes, yes.
So what keys do you have to the game? You got any?
Yes, play solid defense. Don't turn the ball over and be opportunistic when we have opportunities to punch the ball in.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck, man. We'll see you Friday.
Go G-Man.
All right, Coach, as always, man, thank you for the time. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to talk with me for a few minutes about the upcoming game and the previous game. We appreciate. I know I'm hoping you guys are enjoying these interviews with Coach Palmer and hearing some of his thoughts. So we also want to shout out to our final sponsor, Swamp Fox Motorsports. Great guys over there. And again, they provide shuttles for us on game day at football games. So shout out to them. That's very generous of them. If you guys might be seeking a four-wheeler ATV, something, reach out to them. They have a bunch of fun toys out there, I guess you could say. So again, thank you, Swamp Fox, for supporting us and supporting Graham Athletics. So we thank you. Absolutely thank you guys. So to kind of close this thing out, we're going to look at week 3 games in the region. We're going to kind of see maybe even some game of the weeks or games of the week for the region. Obviously, Graham George with this Friday, homecoming at 7 o'clock. We got Virginia High and Radford. I'll be keeping an eye on that one. Again, I kind of mentioned Radford's a different team, but Virginia High's 2-0 on the year, so it'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out. We have Lebanon. I kind of mentioned before, they have a few very, very good skill players. They're taking on Marion. I think that will be actually the first Southwest District game of the year. So obviously we'll be looking out for that one. And then Tazewell and Richlands, big rivalry game, Tazewell County game. That will also be a Southwest District game. That will take place on Friday at 7. That will be at Richlands High School. All of those games actually in the Southwest District will be on Friday at 7. And of course, we're keeping an eye on kind of all of them, but those that Virginia High Radford game I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye out on. In the Mountain 7, probably the game of the week, if I had to say, would probably be Union at Science Hill. Union, obviously, a tough opponent for the G-Men every single week. They are a very talented team, and this rivalry has, from a fan's point of view, I mean, it's a blast to watch. Obviously, I want to come out with every win, but it's so fun to watch those guys play. But they take on Science Hill out of Tennessee. And Science Hill is a very talented team. They do very well in Tennessee. That will be Friday at 7. I would probably say that will be the game of the week. Both of these teams are undefeated. Science Hill, I believe their second game actually got canceled due to a lightning storm. And I guess they just went ahead and canceled it. So at least that's what I can find from my research. But I'll definitely keep an eye out on that game and look at the scores on that one. Ridgeview versus Wise Central, that will be a Mountain 7 game on Friday. Another big game, I think, is Abingdon and Gate City. Both of those teams are undefeated. It's a Mountain 7 game, and that will take place at Abingdon High School this Friday at 7. On Thursday night, we have John Battle heading to Holston High School. Again, that will be Thursday at 7. And then Lehigh, they have a bye week this week. So that closes out the games for the region. And again, here in a few weeks, I want to say October 1st, I want to say, we'll have the standings on all the region teams. So a lot of these games are very important, and I'll get you those standings. We'll post that on our Facebook and Instagram accounts and Twitter as well, or X, whatever you want to call it. And we'll be doing that here in less than a month. And for our closing, we just want to thank you guys for all the support. Again, if you have any, if you want to take on the coaches in the college and NFL pick'em, feel free to leave your comments feel free to leave your comments in the comment section of this video. We always want to thank our sponsors, Swamp Fox Motorsports, Visit Tazewell County, and Andrew Scruggs Law Office. Thank you guys for sponsoring our videos. And anything else you guys want to see. If you want to see more students on here, interviews with students, more student-led things instead of looking at me, that's fine too. We can do that. But anything you guys might want to see, please feel free to leave in the comments. We have some giveaways coming up. Still trying to work out some of the details on that, but we have some giveaways coming up. Especially, we'll probably do it primarily for the viewers of these episodes, and we'll probably throw it in, I don't know, just some random time in maybe next week's episode or the week after. So you'll definitely want to be on the lookout for that. And yeah, so go G-Men as always. Best of luck to all of our teams. Best of luck to our coaches, our athletes. Safe travels to all of our coaches and all of our athletes. Safe travels to all of you guys going to and from all these games. It's been a fun month. I don't even think we're even a month in yet. Well, so it's been a fun couple weeks, 2-3 weeks of Graham High School sports. Hope you guys are enjoying this, the show. Hope you're enjoying the graphics. Shout out to the Graham Sports Network team. They're doing a great job. Sophia had another great interview with our Student Athlete of the Month, Alana Hamady. So shout out to her. We have a bunch of kids going to all these games and taking pictures. They're editing those student athlete spotlight videos. And we still got some things in store with some more videos and some more student-led things. So stay on the lookout for that. Again, just trying to work out the details and get that stuff going. So shout out to the Graham Sports Network team. We'll be doing some Graham Sports Network spotlight, highlight, whatever you want to call it, kind of just shining a light on all the work that they're doing. And we have one big project that I'm hoping by our next home game after George Wythe, I'm hoping, which I think after George Wythe, we have 5 weeks off. We have 4 away games and there's a bye week in there. So we're away from Mitchell Stadium for over a month. I'm hoping to have some big news for you guys, for the Graham Sports Network team, and some opportunities for some of these kids. Just got to have a meeting hopefully soon to try to work out some of that stuff. So maybe something to look forward to. Thank you guys for all your support, and go G-Men.